evening, everybody. It is the Lawn Gnome, and welcome to your July 2017 episode of Out of the Vault. Of course, if you're new to my show, welcome. This is my monthly segment where I talk about everything Disney, including Disney animated canon classics, Disney Pixar, and Studio Ghibli films. So today, we are finally taking a break from Pixar, and we are going back to the canon classics. And we're going to be talking about the canon classic that I think everyone has been dying to hear my words on, and that, of course, is the one that began the famed Disney Renaissance, the one that put Disney back on the front of the line of animated features. Ron Clement and John Musker's directed 28th animated classic, The Little Mermaid. So, The Little Mermaid is the story that you all know and love, the story of a princess named Ariel who happens to be a mermaid living in the depths of the ocean with her sisters and her father, the great king of the sea, King Triton, and she is obsessed with the human world, and then she finally comes to the crossroads where she falls in love with a prince named Eric, and now is the time where she wants to be a part of the human world, but the world of the water forbids her because of some crazy events that happened in the past, and of course there is a villain waiting in the wings that believes that now is the opportunity for her to rise up and gain the powers and control the ocean, and that of course is the sea witch Ursula. So, I saw this movie when it first came out in theaters. That's almost 30 years? Holy cow! I cannot believe that it's been that long since this movie has come out in theaters. And I just know that it was one of my favorite Disney films that I had ever seen. I loved the story, I loved the characters, loved the music scored by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, some of the greatest Disney songs of all time. So now it was finally time for me, even though I practically memorized this movie, it was time for me to visit it once again and figure out what my thoughts would be about this movie as an adult. And I'm just gonna say this, it still is one of the greatest Disney classics of all time, but I feel that being a little bit older and a little bit wiser, there is a couple of things that I love and some things that I necessarily don't love. But here's what I love. I love the characters, and I love the character development. I love Buddy Hackett as Scuttle the Seagull. He is one of my favorite comedic actors of all time. Love Jodie Benson voicing Ariel, and of course everybody loves Pat Carroll as Ursula. She has become one of the most legendary villainesses of all time, right up there with all the greatest femme fatales of the Disney world, like Maleficent and the Evil Queen from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and she is really, amongst a couple of other things, what makes this movie just go full throttle, and you absolutely love it. The animation is absolutely breathtaking. This was also the time when Disney was starting to use some very high-tech CGI, and believe it or not, in this case, it is mostly the bubbles. All the bubbles are digitally added into this movie with a couple of other pieces of CGI worked in, and they definitely came a long way from The Great Mouse Detective, and after this movie, it was pretty much all the way uphill from there with movies like The Rescuers Down Under and Beauty and the Beast. The story is amazing. I love that there is so much character development, not just with the main character and the main villain, but even the Prince Eric gets a great amount of character development, which is something that Disney had lacked for so many generations. I mean, you know there's going to be a little bit more to a prince, especially when you give him a first name. We saw a little bit of that in Prince Philip back in the 1950s with Sleeping Beauty, but we never really got any more of that afterwards. And not only do we get great character development with Eric, but the relationship between him and Ariel, especially when she is on land as a human, even though she's not speaking, I'm not considering this spoilers. I'm sure that you've all seen this movie already, millions of times like myself. The fact that the body language and the eye contact of Ariel and Eric and all the things that they do in the time that they're on land together, you really see so much dynamic, so much personality without even any words being spoken. Not to mention a score by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman that just drives this movie, and beautiful songs like Under the Sea, Part of Your World, and even the great villain song of Poor Unfortunate Souls. Everybody loves that song. It's one of the greatest Disney villain songs of all time. And that's pretty much all the good stuff that I can say about this movie. But is there some bad? Well, I gotta tell you, there's this one little thing about this movie that prevents it from getting a perfect 4 out of 4 stars. It's Ariel. Yeah. The princess that so many little girls for generations adored. I think that there is something extremely faulty about Ariel, and I have seen people even talk about it on YouTube and even discussions that I've had. She doesn't learn. She's just the same as she was when she was a mermaid till the very end, and basically, she, I think, is a very bad role model for little girls because she whines and complains and gets everything she wants. And even when she gets to the climax of the end of the film, when she sees all of the damage that had been happening, all she could say to her father is, "I'm sorry?" I mean, let's backtrack here. You defy everything that your father says. You then run away and find Ursula to give you what you want. And when you find out about how you're going to acquire what you want, it can be a major sacrifice to the point in time where you don't even see your family again. That's like a little girl sneaking out of her bedroom window in the middle of the night, running away with the neighborhood drug dealer. That's what I gained from watching this movie again. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's still a good character, and the movie as a whole is wonderful, but it's just a real sad thing when you see a character that is beloved by so many people, and you see how imperfect this character is as a person, or in this case, a mermaid/person. It just makes you feel a little bit weird. She really is the first Disney millennial princess. I think I just officially created a whole bunch of thumbs down through what I just said. But I would still say you've got to see this. You're going to love it. It doesn't matter, young or old. It is a wonderful, wonderful film. I have seen it numerous times. I own it on DVD. But besides that teensy little bit, it still is a great film. I am going to be giving The Little Mermaid 3.5 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please put your comments in the box below, and let's have a conversation about The Little Mermaid, even after everything that I have just said that have probably broken hearts around the world. I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.